Hi there, it's Nicole for Waffle Flower, and today I've got a holiday thanks card featuring the new Big Bear and Bird Holiday Thanks Stamps and Dies from the November 2018 release. This is an awesome stamp set that works not only for holiday type of cards, but you could make it a birthday kind of card just by switching up the hats that you put on the critters and the sentiments. So there's sentiments for both holiday and birthday, and it just really works for different occasions. I love stamp sets that don't just have to be for holiday. Now this is a big oversized image, so if you're going to be creating a larger card, like maybe a 5x7 card or something, this would work great for that. And it also is going to fit your standard A2 sized cards, which is what I'm going to share today. I stamped my images on Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to color them in with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I've stamped my images with VersaFine ONYX black ink. This is a fantastic ink for Zig coloring. It's going to work with these water-based markers really well. And I'm going to start with my bear. I'm kind of just trying to see where all the bear is, adding my dark color, and then I'm going to add my mid-tone color and finally the light color. If you've seen me color with zigs before, you probably know I generally don't use any more than 2 colors or 2 shades per color, but this is a large image and I really felt like it needed that lighter highlight type area on the bear, and I think you'll see in the finished color design that this really makes a huge difference in this image by adding the colors. Something a little different than when I color with Copics is I lay down my dark color and then blend out. I go from dark to light and I just keep blending. I clean the tip of my light markers off on a scratch piece of paper or in the corner like you can see here, keeping the tip of the marker fairly clean. Once I have my bear, I'm going to go ahead and color in my tree and then just kind of start coloring in all the small images. There is so much detail here. I felt like by kind of grabbing and coloring in some of those larger areas first, it allowed me to see where I needed to go. I'm going to share my color combinations here at first as I'm switching colors in between images and things, and then anything additional is colored with the same marker colors. If I'm using the pink color combination, I'm using peach pink and sugared almond pink. If I'm using green, I'm using green and yellow green, so on and so forth. And I switch back and forth between my colors a lot with all of these little areas here and there. And so I'm not going to, we'll color in the desk with some reds. I'm using Carmine red and light red. This is another fairly large image, kind of intermixed with some small ones. So I'm kind of going slow to make sure I only color in the desk part first. I also decided to do rainbow color as far as coloring in the images in this card. And that just means that you're going to see everything from pink, red, yellow, orange, greens, aqua, blue, and purple throughout this design. It's not going to necessarily go in rainbow order. I was going for very bright and colorful against a kind of purpley blue backdrop with a bold white embossed sentiment along the top edge. Where there's so much going on, so much detail in this oversized image, I didn't feel like my card needed a ton of other stuff going on. I want the focal point to be on this adorable bear sitting at his desk, working on wrapping gifts, writing thank yous, whatever that might be. And then we'll add some little birds holding their envelopes around that and a little heart accent, and really that's all we're going to need here. This image, as I mentioned earlier, is a lot longer than 5.5 inches, which is what a standard A2 size card in landscape mode is going to be. I did color in the entire thing and then I trimmed off part of it. You could trim that up first and then I guess maybe not color in everything if you didn't want to. I wasn't exactly sure until I got to putting my card together how much of this image I was going to actually use. So I didn't worry too much about that. And just colored the whole thing in. And then you can kind of shift it, you know, right or left, depending on what you want to feature in the design. I would say maybe even if you were wanting to feature more of a birthday card design, shift it over to the left a little bit and you could cut off the tree. I don't think the tree necessarily has to say Christmas, but I think out of anything along the bottom edge of this, that is the one thing that definitely says more Christmas than it does birthday. So if you shift it over a little bit, you can kind of cut out some of that tree if you wanted to. And I'm just going to keep switching back and forth between my marker colors. You can see there's going to be a lot of switching here. So I decided not to fill in my screen with the colors since it's all things I've already listed before. And there's just lots of coloring going on, adding all that color in. Something that I totally love about the coordinating dies for this is that they die cut all of the little openings around the light and the tree and the clock kind of over on the left side, and then underneath the desk above the presents and things laying on the floor on the right side of this image. So instead of cutting a lot of white space, this die is very detailed and is going to cut out all of those little areas, which I think is just fantastic and really makes this design shine even more just by having all those little die cut areas. It even die cuts around the gift package and the stack of books on the desk, kind of cuts out and around that so that it's just very, very detailed. Now, once I have everything along the bottom edge, I did flip my paper upside down, and this is simply to keep my hand out of what I've already colored and color in the Santa hats. This would be a great time. There's nothing about this other than, as I mentioned, the tree maybe, that is Christmassy feeling. So if you wanted to make this a birthday type of card instead, you could stamp the birthday hats and color those in, because I think the bright colorful birthday colors would, or the bright colorful colors I've used here would work great for birthday as well. You can just simply switch up the hats. You don't even have to use the hats if you don't want to, which I think is fun. I've die cut everything with the coordinating dies, and I've got another piece of Neenah's Smooth White cardstock that I'm going to ink up with Blueprint Sketch and Shaded Lilac Distress inks all the way down the panel. When I am inking with regular distress inks or distress oxides on a smooth white cardstock like Neenah cardstock, not Bristol cardstock like I used for coloring in my images, or watercolor cardstock, which both of those are more forgiving than the Neenah. I tend to like to start with my light color, in this case Shaded Lilac, and lay down my color with a fairly light hand and then blend in my darker color. In this case it's Blueprint Sketch. And you get a much more seamless blend that way, I think. So here is my image. You can see you can kind of play with that a little bit, see where exactly you want to put the image, shift it right or left, depending on what you want to do. I'm going to grab some greetings now from the Holiday Thanks stamp set and see how that's going to fit along the top. I want to use the thank you, and then for the holiday gift. I think this is a fantastic stamp set. I love doing and writing thank yous for holiday gifts received. And there's not always great stamp sets that are geared towards saying thank you for that. And this one really is, and I think it's just fantastic. I really love the greetings in this. And I think the images are just perfect for these kind of thank you cards. So once I get my sentiments lined up the way I want in my MISTI, I'm going to use a powder tool on my background, ink up the greetings with a clear embossing ink, stamp that, sprinkle on a little white embossing powder, and then heat set this with my heat tool. I'm a really big fan of white embossing on a darker background. I purposely went from dark to light on my background panel, knowing I wanted to put my sentiment up here at the top where the ink is darker. It really shows up against that dark blueprint sketch background, and the white ties in really nicely with the white outline of the die cut images. I'm going to put some adhesive now on the back of my large image, and I'm going to figure out where exactly I want to put this along the bottom edge, leaving enough room so that I can put that Santa hat somewhere on my bear. And then we're going to have the birds on either side, a little heart next to the sentiment, and we'll finish with a few finishing details after we get this all assembled. I'm using some glue dots to attach my smaller images to my card. So the little birds holding the letters. I think these are a fun little addition to the design. And we're going to put a small hat on one of the birds. And then of course that little heart we'll put right at the end of the stamped sentiment to add some color up towards the top of the card. I'm going to grab my scissors now and trim off anything hanging off the bottom edge and the sides. And there is my background panel looking so cute. I'm going to take a black glaze pen and add detail to the eyes on the birds and then the nose on the bear. And once the nose on the bear is completely dry, I will take a white pen and add the white highlight detail back into this that's in the original stamped image. But I like kind of bringing that focus into the sweet little faces by adding that black pen detail to eyes and noses. I'm also going to grab my side fold card base, place my adhesive right on that, and pop my panel in place. And now I can take Nuvo crystal drops. I'm going to use white blizzard to add detail to the cuffs and the pom-poms on the hats. And I'm going to use purple rain, which is a really pretty purple glittery Nuvo crystal drop, to add just some little sparkles throughout the top part of the card. I thought this color really complemented the distress inks used nicely. There's something a little bit different than maybe regular holiday colors, but they fill in the top part of the card with some nice sparkle. When this is dry, you're left with some kind of purple iridescent sparkly little droplets. I tried to keep them more on the smaller side. And then of course this is that white blizzard on the hats. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this holiday thank you card featuring the Waffle Flower Holiday Thanks Stamps and Coordinating Dies, part of the November 2018 release. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Waffle Flower that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.